live from the Wisconsin Cheese Festival, where they put cheese on everything. Everything. From the Grand Ballroom, because everyone is fat there, and that's the only place they can fit. In beautiful downtown Auburn, California. It's Microphone Therapy. Tonight, we are going to review Pinot Noir. Pinot. And then we're going to talk about some guy named Stan.
I'm not drinking any
Satan.
fucking Merlot.
I'm not drinking your fucking Merlot. How are you all doing?
Wonderful.
Mr. Radio Voice.
Fucking Clay.
Like 3.
Satanic.
You should sell like pickup trucks.
All right, what do we talk about?
We're going to talk about Satin.
Owl Block Reserve Pinot Noir and some guy named Stan. Satan.
Oh,
Let's start with the wine.
Stan.
Sometimes I feel like I have no
All
respect
right, so
for you.
tonight we are once again reviewing Grocery Outlet Wines, and tonight's wine is brought to you by Clay. Clay, do you want to talk about tonight's wine?
I have selected the Owl Block Reserve Pinot Noir.
Who?
Central Coast. There's a picture of a silver owl on the front.
Who?
And I cannot read the back because the writing is too small. This is from the Central Coast, produced and bottled by Owl Block. Oh, Lodi, California.
This is from the
not
Central
Coast.
Coast.
Lodi, California.
It says Central
Central-
Coast on the front, and it's Lodi on the back.
Lodi is not-
I'm
Central
smelling
Coast.
load
This is
right
we're
now.
drinking Boone's Farm.
Load eye. Load in the eye.
Oh, Owl Block is a whole winery, so maybe they just buy their grapes from the Central
Lodi?
Coast?
I'm tasting it. It doesn't taste like anything different.
It's
And
2017.
Ooh.
Well, what does it taste like?
Tastes
Does it taste like red wine?
Tastes like red wine.
So I am not a fan of this one. I got it. I thought maybe it needed. I think it did help it when it aired out. I mean, a lot of these cheaper wines, you need to let them breathe. They've got to breathe a bit. But Clay really seemed to enjoy it after the first glass.
Not as much.
Why are you not a fan of it?
It I don't know if maybe we just got a bad bottle or if it's just bunk wine, but to me, especially for a Pinot Noir is usually a little bit lighter, so I kind of expect that. This had more of like a
Paunchy?
It was like
Poncharillo?
I said it was like, oh, it's like prison Pruno, and he was
More
like,
vinegary
what?
than anything else?
Yeah, like more of the vinegary type of stuff, more Pruno-ish.
Hold the E. coli.
It's a fine toilet wine. This maybe have been produced at any local prison and bottled in Lodi.
Wait, you said a local prison.
We have local prisons.
What about a prison in the south of France?
No, this is Central Coast or Lodi.
enough for you.
Do we have a prison in Lodi?
This is Central Coast Lodi.
Central Coast
We got
Lodi.
Folsom nearby, Folsom Prison.
Central Coast Lodi. You know what? Every
Edward
time
James
I'm on the
almost
Central
got shanked in
Coast,
that prison.
No shit.
I must miss that
in a
town.
movie. he
I've
did.
got to go down that way next week, so
Central Coast Lodi.
I got to go towards Central Coast Lodi.
You know what I'm gonna start doing is whenever anybody's like, "Oh, I've got to go to the Central Coast," I'm gonna be like, "Lodi," or when they're like, "Oh no, it's down by Lodi," I'll be like, "You're on the Central Coast? Like, what are you talking about?" So, I did not find joy in this wine. I don't feel like it had a good. It wasn't very much dry. It was like.
Did you say it is too dry?
No, it's not, because usually
There's
when it's dry,
no
it's like
way
pulling
that you're
moisture
ever
from
going
your
to get
mouth.
impregnated by someone when you're on this wine. Is that what you're saying?
No, probably not.
Okay.
It says in the bottle that it's like approaching like a Burgundy, and I agree with that. And I referenced the Burgundy before from Carlos Rossi.
Yes.
Which at first I was like, ooh, like one of the like alcohol receptors from
Like,
when
ooh,
I was
I
like
love
19
Burgundy.
went off, but I'm like fucking over it now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I don't know. I've had Burgundy wines that don't taste like that.
This is not a good tasting red wine.
Lodi
This
has
is
a
not-
wine visitor center
It does. It's becoming quite the.
and the World of Wonders Science Museum in Lodi, California.
You know what Lodi also has is Mickey Grove Park that has a zoo in it, which probably has about 5 animals still.
A goat,
Maybe.
A hamster?
Maybe it's like the Folsom Zoo and it has a thing full of feral cats.
a feral cat.
Oh yeah, let's go to the zoo
So
and see the feral
apparently
cats.
Lodi has 2 districts, one right on 5, and right there, that's Lodi.
Yeah, Lodi's kind of not the best place.
So from living in Elk Grove,
It's near Stockton, dude.
Galt
That
is
says
like
enough.
the warning. Like you get out of Elk Grove and you get into Galt and you're like, ooh, we're going downhill on this
Yeah,
one.
I
Galt is
guess
pretty
you could technically say it's Central Coast.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
How?
Well, look at there's water near it. See? Right here.
Doesn't it look like when you get closer and closer, it looks like California's breaking apart?
Old Man River.
Yeah, well, especially when you get into the Delta there. I mean, because there's so many island areas. I love driving through the Delta. It's one of my favorite places to drive through. But it really is. So I wouldn't say that's coast. I mean, that's kind of like the backwash of the bay.
Bay backwash.
Right there. I can tell you,
There's HIV in that.
as one person who accidentally drove through the port of Stockton once, I can tell you that the coast really doesn't seem reminiscent of that area.
Who hasn't driven through this port of Stockton?
I don't.
Probably any. I have never done it before.
You've never?
I've managed to avoid that area quite well. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if you're driving 80, right? 80, you have to go through the port of Stockton to get to wherever.
No,
There's
this is
a couple
actually a
different
separate
ways
road.
through Stockton. I know
Like
that.
it was a cut through the actual port of Stockton.
Yeah,
where,
I took a freeway on the way back from the bay one
trash
time so
and-
I could avoid the bridge.
Yeah, it's like trash and old containers and pallets and dead people, and there's definitely something shady going on there. So and how much? Do you remember how much this was?
This one?
Yeah,
Oh, you got to do
Under
five.
$5.
yeah, it was under 5.
Everything was under 5.
It doesn't taste like you've presented wines that have tasted like shite. And this doesn't taste like shite to me. It doesn't taste like anything special. It just tastes like every wine I've ever had.
Shite?
Shite. What's
Shite. German for shit.
Okay.
I think,
No,
I'll
give it a
figured out-
pass.
I like
I'll
putting
give it
a little flavor on words.
You're allowed to. You're German.
I do recall that
Spiegel, yes, huh?
I have bought red wines, and if they have a dog on the
Spiegel.
label, they
Yeah,
tasted
Spiegel.
like shit.
A dog?
Yeah, for some reason, I got like 3 wines that had different dogs on it. And one was actually like they raised money for I don't know, orphan dogs on crack, and it tasted like butthole.
And one was the actual hair of the dog.
Yeah, I think one was called Hair of the Dog, and it was disgusting.
You know what else it reminds me of is when you go to like Old Spaghetti Factory or something like
And
that.
they give you the table wine.
Yeah, they're like, would you like some red table wine? And you're like, I don't know, would I? And then they bring it out like in one of those, like it looks like, you know what I mean? What is that called? A carafe?
Yeah, like the wood basket
A
thing.
dish rag.
A carafe. They bring it in a carafe, and then like you share with 4 other people, and like you're
And
partying,
it's
so
this.
none
This
of
is,
you.
this is what they give you. This is like their house. It's the house wine.
Right.
Would you
well,
like
what's the
some
house wine?
fermented spumoni?
I like spumoni. That's my favorite one.
Well, they can make a wine out of it.
What is just like all the candies from the Spumoni, and they just
That's the only ice cream I really like.
That little
Just all the shit they
side
wipe off the
sour
table.
cream container that they have that they put the
like a
spumoni
rail
in where
shot
it's a
at the
fucking
bar.
tease. Because that's like
Right.
that's the size you should
You're
be
talking
eating.
about Old Spaghetti Factory.
That's the size you should be eating, but you get that and you're just like it's like 1.5 bites and it's gone.
I love Old Spaghetti Factory.
So do I.
So do I.
I don't give a shit if it's like the
It has
McDonald's
been
of Italian.
so long since I've been there.
It's delicious.
Actually, it's really good.
Now I'm kind of craving it.
You know what else is not bad?
What?
Olive Garden.
Depends on what you get. It's not that bad.
I guess as long as you acknowledge that it's not pure
Not really
Italiano, then
Right.
it's
Well,
okay.
it's the same thing as when you got to Mexican food, and I always have to ask, like, is it American Mexican food or is it like what is this?
Authentic.
Well,
Yeah,
it depends on the name.
like in this town.
Joe's Mexican.
Well,
it's
no,
probably
like-
not real.
Our 2 main old school like
Authentic New York Mexican food.
restaurants in town
Mailing's hot
are,
dog stand.
are American Mexican. So like Tio Pepe and Cafe D's in town, those are like American Mexican because you get everything with like the big mounts of cheddar cheese and stuff on it. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm
No,
saying
those
I-
are authentic Mexican
I
restaurants.
enjoy that immensely. No, that's the American version of that shit because they don't have that.
if
crap
they have
down in
underpaid
Mexico.
labor there, it could be authentic Mexican.
I
Well,
like
technically-
American.
The owners of Tio Pepe are,
But they're serving it the way that Americans expect Mexican food.
Well.
It's not actual Mexican food.
What
that's-
are you
so
supposed to
that's-
have? Like a bunch of feral dogs running around you as you're
Yes,
eating it?
Yes. No, but it's the same thing with like Olive Garden. It's like that's probably actually authentic Mexican food too, because it's probably Mexicans in the kitchen. But like that's the thing when people go, well, this isn't real Italian food. Well, it's like American Italian food. Like
yeah, but I
that's-
mean, I can argue the Tio Pepe one because when we were in Mexico, we went to an authentic Mexican restaurant and they serve the same shit.
I'm just telling you.
So it's,
Like
I mean, it's
normally
really
when you
not
go,
different.
you get like street tacos, which have just like the onions and cilantro on it and a squeeze of lime.
Mm-hmm.
It's just meat, no cheese. If you do, you get the stuff that doesn't melty. It's like the grainy
I
cheese.
think if you do,
Well,
if they show that it gives you a
I'll give you that one.
smorgasbord of ingredients on top of it, then that's the American version because we're fatties, right?
Right.
So then the one that's starving more for actually starving for toppings, that's the one that's from Mexico because they are starving.
and it's probably made of dog.
They're starving?
El rata?
Mexico?
Well, yeah, that's why they keep fucking coming over here, right? I mean, because it's better over here than it is down there.
They're trying to
don't
eat
know.
our food?
Dude, if
I don't think they're
Southern
starving.
I don't think they're starving.
If Southern California is a better option than where they're at, then it's got to be pretty fucking bad.
It's not a better option. They owned it before.
The people that are coming over here are either they're leaving Mexico because there is no opportunity for them to work, or the opportunity for them to work is in a shithole, and they don't want to deal with that. But for the most part, like, most of those cats, starving.
Hence my
They don't-
joke that
Wait a
you
minute.
apparently flew over.
We took Southern California from the Mexicans
Hey, they won
during the
Alamo for a
Treaty of
while.
Guadalupe. They're just
What the
trying
hell's a Guadalupe?
That's when
That's
when
what you served
California
at an
became a state
American
in
And then they shouldn't have fucking
1865.
killed John Wayne. Okay, once they killed John Wayne in the Alamo, we had to take that shit back
The
and a little bit
Guadalupe
extra.
is
Parkway.
what you're served at Taco Bell, American Mexican restaurant.
Okay. All right.
The Guadalupe.
I love Taco Bell. It's fucking delicious.
Fuck yeah, Taco Bell.
I hate Taco Bell.
God,
so
yeah.
Nacho
much.
cheese, dude.
Quesadillas.
You could just bathe me in it.
They
I got a visual. Thank you so much.
They make fucking delicious food.
Get in my mouth, Taco Bell.
Yes, they do.
Oh, it's bad. Even the beans are bad.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
tasty.
It's all
I haven't had
reconstituted.
their beef in 26 years, and I still remember how good it was on a taco.
It's not. It's not what it used to be.
Is it-
Beef warmed up.
More
in
No,
sawdust
she's
now?
right. It's not what it used to be, but it's still fucking delicious.
Fuck yeah, Taco Bell.
I know that the pintos
You
and
eat at
cheeses have
fucking
gotten
Taco
smaller and
Tree.
smaller.
You eat
Where do you
it.
think they get their ingredients from?
No, they actually buy different ingredients.
They can't.
Yes, they do.
No, they can't.
Yes.
No, they can't.
Actually can. You can buy them from different distributors.
They buy them from Salerno or
But-
Salio,
but
whatever the name is. It all comes from the same thing.
Taco Tree actually makes their beans in these giant pressure cookers in the back.
They get their beans from
Monsanto.
Do you know where Taco Bell gets their beans?
Same place.
No, their beans are powdered beans that they reconstitute with water.
It's not. I used to work there.
How long ago?
It was about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and they haven't changed. They haven't changed the process. Their meat, yes. Their beans, no.
The grade F meat.
Yeah, their grade F meat is like powdered meat, and
Yeah.
they do add water to it, but not the beans. It's not powdered
So
beans.
gross. I just remember that I used to be able to eat there, and then all of a sudden I had a taco, and I had the worst heartburn I've ever had in my life. He's looking at the neighbor.
Lost cause.
Who's that?
Was that a girl?
Yeah, that's a girl.
Was it? Who is she?
No, out the window. The neighbor.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bubba. Yes, that's a girl right there
Bubba's
too.
a girl?
Hi, I'm Bob. I have bitch tits.
He's got his own earphones on. He can't hear you.
Oh, there she goes again. Hang on.
No, it's
I
the
can't
neighbor.
see shit.
That's the neighbor. She's cleaning up the backyard.
No.
Finally,
It's about time.
3
Would you-
years
okay,
later.
so
So the wine, bad.
yeah.
Fuck this wine. All
No,
right.
don't
What else
get
we
this
got?
wine.
So okay, so just so you guys know, and I can cut it off if you don't want this, but the neighbor, the neighbors had some real personal issues going on, and they have been pretty much in a depressed mode for the last 6 months, 8 months,
And literally,
Did you
the
say
shit
Depeche
kept
Mode?
piling on.
and they have a dog named Leo, and the mother used to live there, and the mother was here all the time, and then
Over here at your house?
yeah, she used to live at my house.
No, but you said she was over here
Yeah,
all the
and then you
time.
pointed downward like here.
I pointed like that.
Oh. You said
I saw
she's
the downward.
over here.
He threw a Southern gang sign. I saw it.
Over there?
Over here.
Over there? Over here?
Oh, he's fantasizing. I got it.
Yeah, the neighbor's mother used to live here at my house for no fucking reason whatsoever.
So the neighbor's mother used to live at their house. Is what
Kind
you're
of
saying.
gesture on you
I
guys'
would
part.
assume so. Yeah. That's
And then what
the
happened? She
neighbor's mother.
died?
No. So after all the bad shit that happened,
The bad shit.
she left. But she was the one that was pretty much she's like mom.
Yeah.
Just keeping the fucking family together and saying, go clean this, go do this, go do
She's
this.
the rock.
And they have a guy that lives downstairs, the brother, who I have no idea who he is or whatever. Apparently he's a musician, plays drums. I haven't heard him play drums in like 6 months. And today he started playing drums again, so he's getting back to normal. But the yard is full of dog shit. And it's starting to stink.
Really,
And it's-
a lot. It's like a minefield.
Yeah, and there's cardboard boxes back there. It's like he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care about cleaning that stuff up.
Those aren't divots.
And we let it ride for a little bit, figuring somebody will do it. So mom went over there today and said, "Hey, can you clean up the back?
There she goes again.
There's dog shit." So she's
Like,
married.
peeping around.
She has 2 kids,
Oh yeah, that'll
Oh, she
stop
had to
by.
fuck that.
and one of them's dead. So,
So now she only has one, or does she have two live ones?
It's a long story. I'll tell you off mic.
Tragedy, baby. Tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should have had the
I'll tell you
vaccine.
off mic. It's a whole fucking thing. Yeah.
One of the kids is really fucking dead.
Should have had the Johnson & Johnson's dual pack, baby powder and vaccine.
So she went over there today and said, "Hey, can you clean up the dog shit that's on?" She's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, Leo has been shitting all over the place, and no one's cleaned it up, and however long since you guys moved in."
It looks like someone had a dumpster,
And
like
she goes,
a
"Well,"
wheelbarrow full of like bark, and it's not bark.
She goes, I don't go downstairs because the other dude was down there and blah blah blah. And she goes, "Well, it hasn't been touched." He literally will walk outside, walk over the dog shit, and open the gate so that the dog can come downstairs, walk right back inside. Today, I saw him walk outside, do whatever, walk through the dog shit. Oh, he came downstairs and installed a doggy door so the dog can come in downstairs. Walked all the way across the pile of shit, went upstairs, grabbed the doggy door, walked all the way downstairs, across the pile of shit, and I don't know what he did with the doggy door. He didn't install it. He just set it down. There's like I said, there's piles of trash back there, and nothing's been done. So that's why you see the girl walking back and forth.
The
because
window's cracked open, and you're talking. I want to see how loud you sounded without the headphones on.
I don't care.
Yeah, you do.
No, I really don't care. Because she was super nice.
Yeah.
Ultimately, she was really fucking cool about, oh, well, I don't go downstairs, so I don't know what's going on. She looked over at her husband and said, "You haven't picked up Leo's poop?" He's like, "What? Go pick up Leo's poop. Pick up my poop.
Pick up the poop." We have a similar issue.
I know
at my
that when
house.
you're sad, the shit keeps piling on, but come on, dude.
Well, it gets to a point like, if you're going to completely ignore the fact that your dog is shitting all over the yard, and this is for the guy that lives downstairs, like, fine, he has his friend. He used to have his friends come over. They haven't come over in weeks,
Too much dog
months.
shit.
And
Where are we gonna sit, bro?
literally, if you're going to just walk across the yard and ignore the fact that you're stepping on dog shit,
Well,
you got to fucking wake up.
maybe he's on PCP or something.
He's not on anything. He's on dumb.
So he's
Well, it's
living
not-
in his
definitely not
sister's
meth.
basement?
Because if it was meth, I think she got something working with her.
Does she?
I think so. But you know what? Sometimes I'm not a good judge of distance looking at people. It's good from far and far from good sometimes.
Look, they're quiet. They keep control of the dog. They're nice people. Other than that, I have no issues with them. They have that problem with whatever one of the kids passed away, unfortunately. So I get that. That's why we haven't done anything or said anything for a couple months to let them process and get their heads together. But
yeah, I'm not a good judge from far because one time I saw a hot chick from behind with long blonde hair, and then I passed and I looked in the rear view, and the motherfucker looked like Tom Petty.
looks
It was
like
a dude.
Vince Neil.
It was a dude with long blonde hair.
Watch out!
She likes horses.
Ooh, I like her.
Like the dude from Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Dude Looks Like a Lady is about Vince Neil.
Is it?
Yeah,
Sort of.
I have no idea.
From what I understand, that's Steven Tyler's told the story like multiple times, and then
changes it.
it kind of changes every once in a while. Look, why
I
don't
thought
you
they
just
were
go
talking
the
about
fuck
Steven
over
Tyler.
next door and see if you can fuck her, Clay?
I'm getting a fucky weird vibe from her. I'm telling you.
You just see arms. You just see uncovered
I see some
arms.
greasy
I'm
hair.
gonna tell you what. Like,
You're getting a weird vibe from a head.
if her husband is the one that's supposed to take care of that, and he hasn't been picking up the poop, and she just had to deal with mom.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the
doing
pussy.
that. Like maybe she's open to it because she's sick of her husband.
I don't.
Just go over there and pound on the garage.
Add drama to Mike, the
Why don't you-
Sutherland's life.
why don't you offer to pick up the poop for her?
banging the neighbor.
Oh, I don't care. If that happens, I
Pick
have
up
no.
the poop for
I'm
her.
not
See
gonna
what
control
happens.
it.
Where's your bald friend? I want to talk to him.
So tell me about your kid. No, the one that's alive.
Oh, hold on. My
Do lunges while you're.
No, I don't
picking
care
up
about the
poop.
dead one.
my bald friend who's a Satanist and could probably fucking drag you through the mud. Hey, no problem.
What?
The carpenter dude?
I'm pretty sure that Satanists can be killed by guns.
I'm pretty sure Clay can take care of himself.
I think you should do like deep lunges while you
Is
pick
it
up the
worth
poop.
the drama?
Deeply.
There you
No,
go. You
this
gotta-
is
you gotta
all out
weigh
of.
it.
I'm
You
just
gotta weigh
talking
the
out of
options,
fun.
man.
Is
it worth the drama?
I
I look at
want to see
everything.
Clay flex.
No, you don't.
Come on, come at me,
Nobody
bro.
wants to see
No.
that.
I am passive.
It's probably more. It's less probably show
Are
than
you
what you guys were
passive
thinking of,
intensive?
and just more of
Passive
this.
intensive.
I am passive aggressive.
Like this. Oh, he is very passive aggressive. It's probably
No,
more less
intensive.
show and more like this. So, do you want to
You want to fuck?
You want to fuck? Or
What are you talking about?
I think that's how he learned how to have the radio voice. Is by talking into women's ears like
No,
that.
I used to be like, if I was like,
Hey,
there she
baby,
goes
let's go.
again.
We're gonna go right there.
No, I'd
Yeah,
go
yeah,
somewhere. I'd be
yeah.
like, I'd get over there and I'd be like, we'd have a couple drinks. I'd be like, take your clothes off.
Just whip out his dick.
yeah.
No, I'd be like, take your clothes off.
Fucking Quagmire.
She'd be like, what? I'd be like, take your clothes off.
I'm tired of small talk. Take your clothes off.
Yeah,
Why don't you do it? Just do it.
but that's the old. That's in the past.
What would you do now?
I go in the mirror. I'm all, take your clothes off.
As he's taking his clothes off.
And then I'm all, why does this video keep timing out? That's fucked up.
Have you ever put 2 cock rings on a guy before?
front and back.
It's a very private question.
All right.
I will not
Literally,
answer
it's
that.
private.
I'm bored of talking about the neighbor.
So Clay
Over there picking up shit.
Yeah. Clay was relating a story to us last week, which we did not have on mic because...
No, I keep fucking looking at her. Thank you.
Well, stop looking at her.
No.
Do I need to
He
close
set
the
a
blinds, you
precedent.
guys?
No. Michael.
And
We should start going outside and go, woo woo. Wave towels.
I want to get into this. Yeah.
Let's get into this.
Yeah, me
Let's
and Clay
get another
wanna
bottle of
me
wine
and Clay
going too,
wanna
because
get
this
into
one
it right
sucks
now.
a bag of dicks.
No,
Well, then
you
we can't review it.
You
We
can't
can
get another
only-
bottle of wine
We
going
can only
until,
open what we review.
Oh, fuck.
until you start reviewing. So you have to wait for
We have to drink
4
something else.
hours.
Not drinking anymore. This would taste like socks.
Yeah.
It was filtered through socks, triple sock filtered.
Fucking shit. So you were talking about the Church of Satan.
Yes.
And okay, so
Bad.
I threw on Gods of Egypt.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie?
I don't
Have you
think
seen the movie?
No.
Yes, it's a turd.
Okay, so you were talking about is it the Church of Set? Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's the temple of
Set
Set.
Alpha
The temple.
5.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a temple of Set. There's a Church of Satan and others. So I'm watching that. So Gerard Butler plays Set in this piece of shit movie.
From
And the
what
only
year?
thing
I have to know.
it doesn't matter.
No, it is. It does matter to me. Is it old? Is it 60s, 70s?
No,
Gerard Butler movie.
Gerard Butler.
Oh no, it's new.
Yeah.
Okay.
In like 10
Okay.
years.
That's why I said I'm not gonna. I don't,
Okay.
I'm not. I don't want to give it credence because
Okay.
it's a dog shit movie.
Is
So,
it?
But it's got the guy from Game of Thrones in it.
What movie?
Which guy? There's a lot of guys.
The Gods of Egypt.
Okay.
What, Nikolai Kaj-Wastow?
Yeah, that guy who plays Cersei's
Jamie Lannister.
Yeah, Jamie Lannister.
Yeah.
It's got Gerard Butler and a couple of other people in it. Oh, and Davy Jones. So the only thing I can think of when I'm watching this movie is this is fucking fantastic because now I have something to go with. The Church of Set. So the Church of Gerard Butler, who created all these rules, and Jamie Lannister, who is now part of this church. This fucking movie just made me so angry, and now it made me angry about the Church of Set because of everybody. If everybody
The temple of Set.
worships the temple of Set, now they're all I can think of is fucking Gerard
Is that
Butler.
they're worshiping Gerard Butler?
There's trends. There's movie trends that happen every few years.
I don't
where
think that's the
it's
case,
like
Mike.
the big thing is vampire movies or werewolf movies.
So these guys are just
We went
wandering
through-
around.
It's just so.
Yes.
Worshiping
Joseph.
Gerard
He said
Butler
he
and
doesn't
talking
want
about Davy
cross-talking.
Jones.
He said,
I got to hear what Joseph is saying. I got to
hear.
hear what Joseph is saying.
Okay, it's the trend of movies. Okay,
fucking
so
cares?
with Gods of Egypt, it was when they started doing the what's the movie with the robot owl? Clash of the Titans.
I
When
love
they
the
did the
original.
Clash of the Titans remake, and then the sequel to that,
Wrath.
and then Immortals. They did with the Henry Cavill and a bunch of other shit. That's-
Mickey Rourke?
So that came out around that trend. I don't fucking know.
All right.
I don't know anymore.
Heather left.
We stopped.
Fuck it.
Where are you going, Heather?
I was gonna get us some more booze.
Yes,
okay.
please. Yes. Pinot.
So that's the only other thing I can think of every time I replay that conversation in my head about the Church of Satan
P.S.
and the Temple of Set. It's just like, oh my god.
You had said that you were aware of it before.
There's a chair there.
No, but every time I replay the conversation, because when I was watching the movie, I was just like, oh my god.
Now, what do you? Let's banter back and forth a little bit
I'd
about
like to know when the Egyptians had plenty of time to keep doing fucking sit-ups constantly.
sit-ups.
Or all the
they
time.
always have fucking eight-pack abs and
They
shit.
were building the pyramids.
No, they were having people build the pyramids for them while they sat around and drank Pinot.
Great. Anyways,
Grape, yes,
Mike.
it's made out of grape.
Tell me what you know. Okay.
I
Whoa.
what the fuck was that?
Did we just get nuked?
Oh, that must have been the air conditioner.
went off.
Holy shit, that's a
Why did you get the vodka? Oh, good.
that was weird.
That's why we need those fucking gigantic blue balls.
That was like a mic drop.
All right, let's start it like this.
Record skip.
No, I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah.
So I became aware of the Church of Satan from an article I had read, and I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was Hustler, and it was talking about Anton LaVey. And it really got me actually interested in reading this because he looks like Kreskin. He looks like the Amazing Kreskin.
Who's the Amazing Kreskin?
He's a magician.
Must not be very good because I've never heard of him either.
I always thought he kind of looked like the guy from Flash Gordon, the villain.
Is he better than Chris Angel?
Not the Amazing Kreskin. That's the Amazing Kreskin. The Amazing Kreskin is not amazing. He's a fucking fraud.
It looks like Walter Matthau's, what's that guy that won?
That's Harry Carey.
Yeah.
Oh, we're fucking.
Hi.
He played
Have y'all
Bela
heard of
Lugosi in Ed
Satan?
Wood. Martin Landau. He looks like Martin Landau's ugly cousin.
Hey, Joe.
What?
Have you ever heard of Satan?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I sure have.
Our Lord and Savior.
He's a dark lord.
This guy. So he kind of looks like the Amazing Randy. You know, he's bald. Randy, obviously, this is a fucking really old picture. But if you look at a younger version of Randy,
he just did not care anymore.
no. See,
Yeah, I can go with that.
so that's what I was thinking of. The Amazing Randy.
Was he on Faces of Death?
Yes, he was on Faces of Death. The Amazing Randy, the guy that outed all these people like Kreskin, is on Faces of Death. And reading this article, all I could think of is interesting, but and he wasn't because the Church of Satan at that time was starting to rise. And everybody's talking, well, not everybody, but the media was talking about it like, oh my God, the Church is saying anti-God stuff and people are fucking going to murder people, blah, blah, blah.
Dungeons and Dragons, man.
And Anton LaVey was like, we're not into fucking murdering people and this and that. Nobody is understanding. They're just taking something someone said and then they've expanded on it because the media relies on fear to drive attentions.
Right.
Okay.
Well, because if people are afraid, they're going to watch the news. All they really care about is ratings.
Yeah. So the more that I got into reading about Anton LaVey, and I didn't really go any farther than that. I wanted to find like the Satanic Bible, but you couldn't find it in bookstores. You probably had to special order or get it from
Amazon. Well, now we have Amazon.
Yeah, now we have that. But the Church of Satan in and of itself. But then I was also doing other things, so I kind of just lost the rabbit on that one.
As we were talking about, and Clay was bringing up so much of this spinoff, really, of the Temple of Set, and then
Temple of Gerard Butler, and he sent us that link of the founder of the Temple of Set,
Michael Aquino.
Yes,
he just died.
I know.
Yeah, and it's
right before my birthday.
So I actually listened to the majority of it. And it didn't do very well for keeping me awake while I drove, but I was trying to get to the point of like, why? Like, I think you probably know more about it, so you may explain to me. It's like I'm listening to what their concepts are and what they're thinking about, and like how it's like they were getting away from the Church of Satan, but why? I never really got the why they wanted to break off from the Church of Satan.
I'd have to go back and start with the Church of Satan.
Okay, do that.
Yeah,
because of the bad stigma that goes along with it.
Yes.
Do the thing.
So what I know is that really anybody who was somebody that you would call a real black magician, in other words, they both studied the occult, practiced the occult, and furthered the occult. The last person that I believe ever did that was Aleister Crowley.
Dark sorcerer.
Yes. And he passed away, I want to say in the late 40s or early 50s.
Ozzy sung about him, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Crowley.
So then after that, anything of that sort of genre started to fall off and everything was just, the normal things that you find.
1947.
in Western culture. And then enter Anton LaVey, who was so Anton LaVey resided in San Francisco. He was not his youth. He was like maybe in his 30s or 40s. He had been a crime scene investigator. He had done all these different jobs, and he got into the spotlight in 1966 when he essentially declared that the satanic era was starting, and he shaved his head and he wrote the Satanic Bible. and released it as a book. And most people will automatically assume that the Satanic Bible is some type of the polar opposite to our Bible, and that it's all about chopping up babies and all that kind of stuff. But it's really not. It's not like that at all.
Right.
He was expressing that instead of going to church and having faith and being what's the word?
A conformist?
Not a conformist, but not only that, but like everything about your ego is stifled. He was like, that's not how the true Satanist is going to live.
He likes paganism. It's like
what he's saying is that we live in a repressed society.
Yeah.
Open up your mind to like LSD.
Yeah, paganism is supposed to be more free, right?
No, he was saying open up your mind to whatever carnal desires you have. Realize
free
them.
The ego, free the beast.
Free the ego. Don't turn the other cheek. Live how you want to live, and take no prisoners, and don't look back. And
you want to do drugs,
whatever it is.
Feed your base desires.
Yes.
So pretty much anarchy.
Well,
in a sense,
but the book is not a religion. The book was written like a philosophy,
manifesto.
And so it doesn't read at all like you would think it reads. It reads like if you were discouraged and or were an outcast or things like that, and always felt different and like the odd guy, the odd duck out. It wants you to take all of that anger and channel it into something that is promoting all the things that you desire.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag?
So that's what the Satanic Bible was. Now, aside from that, he lived in San Francisco off of California Street in a black Victorian house, drove a coroner's van around. So like he picked up attention right away because of the whole counterculture thing that was taking place in San Francisco anyways, the whole Haight-Ashbury movement, all of this hippie shit, all these counterculture things were all transpiring at one time. And so part of that became the Church of Satan. That was the other thing, is it wasn't just the book. It wasn't just the Satanic Bible. He formed the Church of Satan.
There's a documentary on Hulu, I think I watched. It was called Hail Satan. And it's about modern day Satanists. And they don't...
I watched a little bit of that.
Look, I don't know if there's any behind the scenes shit.
I need to write that down because I need to watch that.
I don't think there's any, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's any behind the scenes shit where they're not talking about things that they might be doing where, it might be a little bit more satanic, by the way. But when you're watching the video, they just seem like normal people who like to wear goth clothes, who talk about freedom of just being who you are.
Well, but like some of them do that because they're bandwagoners. They wear the goth clothes, they wear the Satan jewelry, whatever, and then they go and they preach this bullshit, but they really don't buy into it. They're just doing it because it's cool.
They don't talk about like sacrifice or any of that weird, the evil shit. It's just about just living free.
Well, and this goes into that. Remember when we were talking about the Hollywood stuff and worshiping Moloch, the devil, and whatever else. Mm-hmm. So as I have Anton LaVey's album up, The Devil Speaks and Plays.
That's unfortunate.
And it's so awful looking. I don't know why they used a 60s font on there, like Laverne and Shirley or I Love Lucy.
I'm pretty sure
font.
the Monkees used that exact same font for their album.
It's terrible, and I don't know why he authorized it, or maybe he didn't. Anyways, so they have his daughter Zena.
And make it look good.
Yes. Schlemazel.
And it says, "Is Taylor Swift a clone of Zena LaVey?"
Right.
And there's this whole fucking subculture.
Yeah, there is a rabbit hole you can go down on that one. Yeah, absolutely, I've been there.
And 90% of the Hollywood myth of worshiping Moloch and whatever else comes from this right here. This was never a problem until Taylor Swift showed up, and then all of a sudden Zena LaVey shows up, all of a sudden Taylor Swift shows up, and it's because of this. They cloned Zena to keep the satanic vibe in Hollywood going, and the worship of Moloch, the devil, and all this other stuff. Like I said, that's why I have problems with this. It's just these fucking people will go and just write any conspiracy theory without even fact-checking
There's
anything.
one way to confirm if Taylor Swift is a clone of Zena LaVey. How many boyfriends has Zena LaVey had, and how many of them did she break up with and then do an album immediately afterwards?
That is a great question. This is something we'll have to know. But I mean, even aside from that, if you either start looking at... going great. Right. So if you go down those rabbit holes, though, you have to remember...
You just hit boo.
It isn't just like, is this chick a clone of that? It is, are these even the same people? and they're just people that are different types of beings, and they just live forever.
Yeah, because we can't have, people that look the same. Like my buddy Lincoln, when I was at work, this was like a year ago, there's this guy that he gets out of his car, he's getting gas, and I almost went outside and said, "Hey, Link, how's it going?" Looks just like Link. I have seen, the story is that everybody has a doppelganger, right? Mm-hmm. I have seen a doppelganger of almost everybody in this room. I've seen a doppelganger. I told Joe about this one. It was the ugliest female I'd ever seen. I'm like, I'm glad you're not a female because
you would be very ugly as a female.
Billy Gardell.
Oh my God!
I've never seen another Clay.
But
you have.
She looked just like Joe, and I've seen everybody that I know, with a few exceptions, I've seen doppelgangers off. Even Dad. Like after Dad died, I'm driving, and this guy is standing there. He's got the blue jacket on. He's got blue jeans. He's got no ass. He's got a hat on. The hair is exactly the same. And I stopped the car and rolled down the window and almost went, "Hey, Dad!"
You don't remember that you sent me on Facebook years ago, probably 2012, something like that. You're somewhere, and I don't know why. There was like people on the dance floor or something, and you're like, get a picture of this guy, and you're like, I'm on the fucking dance floor and run into this creepy hood mood looking guy, and it was like he had on the leather jacket that was like ox blood with the lapels, and his hair was long like mine was at the time, and he had the bald spot in the back, and you're all, what the fuck?
I think I did. Yeah, I think he actually approached me at the bar, and
you're
I was
all,
like,
I ran this creepy hood mood motherfucker. And then you put the picture up, and I was like, oh, that is creepy.
And the other thing I was reading is when it comes to like art and stuff like that, people that do these movie posters and whatnot, and they have to draw from real life, have said, these experts have said, there are like 6, maybe 8 shapes to a face. So, and that's a limited amount of faces. You have a 7.8 billion people on this planet. At some point, someone's going to have the same style of face as you. There's 7 billion chances to do that.
I feel really bad for the person that has my face because they have a huge nose.
Yeah, I feel bad for the person that has my face with Joe's hair.
That would be also bad. That's
my hair is awesome. I love my hair.
It is uncanny
really
how
hair.
much Taylor Swift does look like Xena LaVey in her prime. Xena LaVey's 67 now. Yeah. She's still beautiful.
She's fucking gorgeous, man.
Now, here's another thing: is supposedly
I've always had a thing for her.
Yeah.
And why is she still gorgeous? Do you think?
Oh, I'm absolutely enamored by her. Period.
Because she bathes in the blood of the innocent.
And here's the other thing: is she's not a Satanist anymore.
Oh, okay.
She split off of the Church of Satan with Michael Aquino, took like a third of the members of the Church of Satan, started the Temple of Set. She went along with it.
Gerard Butler.
It was,
The Temple of Gerard Butler.
The Temple of Gerard Butler, and was involved for some time until she finally sanctioned off of that. Now she's a tantric Buddhist.
Oh, okay.
So, but she went on the Geraldo show with Aquino. Mm-hmm. Anton LaVey no longer had any interest in trying to defend the Church of Satan or anything like this. And this was during the Satanic Panic of like the late 80s.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
She went on Geraldo.
Geraldo. I was going to say
to defend the Church of Satan along with Michael Aquino.
Sally Jesse.
Even though they'd already started the Temple of Set?
Yeah, she was still potentially with, or maybe not. That's a good question.
She was super articulate too. It was kind of cool to watch her.
And she was.
They're not stupid people.
No, but I mean, when they go on these shows, it depends on the person. But like you get like camera shy or stage fright or whatever, and you don't articulate, you don't talk very well, like I'm doing right now. And what happens is that they end up looking stupid, or they edit the fucking.
Yeah, or they have to. They only have like 5 minutes or less while other people are talking to try to get out their shtick, and they can't get it out because they're constantly being interrupted.
So
well, at the end of that show, Geraldo turned to the camera and said, "I am wrong," because he was all about, "What are you guys doing too? Are you chopping up babies, eating babies?" And at the end of the show, he was convinced otherwise, and he turned to the camera and said, "I was wrong about what I thought Satanism is, and it's not. I'm wrong." Basically.
And that's when a chair broke his nose.
That's a different fucking show.
I know. I'm just being smart.
And then he opened up the vault.
I was just gonna say, and then he opened Capone's vault.
I watched that goddamn thing.
So did I.
Was that
the
1986?
I did too.
Was it 85 or 86?
I don't know, but I watched.
No, it was later than that.
Thing.
I watched. I was so riveted.
It might have been the same year they
Fucking
did this.
Empty wine bottles and shit, motherfucker.
That was my first disappointment.
Now, Anton LaVey
86.
never thought that Lucifer or Satan was a real thing. It was something that he wanted you to think about in your mind and use as an inspiration, but it was the way you would use Snow White or Transformers or G.I. Joe. That's the way he wanted you to envision Satan or Lucifer. He didn't believe it was a real thing. It was just something that you used to like meditate on. Now, Michael Aquino completely disagreed with that. And then when he split for that reason and left the Church of Satan and started the Temple of Set, Michael Aquino says that he sat down at midnight one night and the spirit of Set, which was an Egyptian god, an Egyptian, so in Egypt during whatever pharaoh ruled, it was kind of like it was their set of rules or whatever. And the pharaoh that ruled under Set or worshipped Set was not of the like. It would be like the equivalent of like all of a sudden one ruler was a Christian and then the next one was like a Satanist. It was more on the darker, and so anyways, Michael Aquino says that Set came to him and then he wrote what is called Coming Forth by Night, or rather dictated it, and he says he did so in the spirit of Set, and that Set laid out all the criteria of what the Temple of Set was going to be based around, and still is. So that was Michael Aquino's main fuck you. That was Michael Aquino's main rub with Anton LaVey. Is then it became apparent later that Anton LaVey would offer higher degrees in the Church of Satan for like a money situation, like you're going to pay me. He was like trying to, what do they call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Scientology?
No. Oh. When you're going to just basically try to capitalize on something for money rather.
Profit?
Yes, he's trying to profit on the idea of what the Church of Satan was. You can still become a member of the Church of Satan.
That still sounds like Scientology. I mean, isn't that what they kind of do too?
Well, don't they all?
You told Child Services that we steal lawnmowers and cheat on our taxes and worship some guy named Stan.
What the fuck is that?
It's just like with the Bible, right? You take the good stuff out of it and you use it for whatever to make yourself a better person. It's the same thing with the Satan shit. You take the good stuff out of it, and then then the nasty bad stuff you don't use it, and then there you can be a good person. I think though there's always going to be a stigma with the term Satan. It's always going to be there.
It is, especially with religious zealots. But I think, I mean, if you really open up, and look at some of the principles of the Church of Satan or Satanism, it really isn't like, hey, we're going to chop up babies and we're going to drink blood.
Name. That's all you got to do. Change the fucking name.
But it's like, it's more of like, like you said, egocentric. It's like, just do what's good for you. Like, fuck everybody else.
I mean,
like,
look, if you called yourself the Church of White Power, right? But you're talking about a white powerful fucking light or something that's supposed to illuminate your life or some bullshit, all right? But they're like, no, white power has been used a bad way already. So
but you have to understand that the Church of Satan isn't just like, hey, we want to use this because it is a thing. So if you really look at Lucifer
as he broke away,
it becomes, hey, God's actually this selfish, just fucking asshole.
He's a kid with an ant farm,
right? And he doesn't want anyone to share his toys, and and they want everybody to worship him as the omnipotent, and he's making this weird set of rules for people. And then Lucifer is really just saying, hey, just be you, homie, like just catch a vibe.
So the thing about what you're talking about is, if you really research it, Lucifer was the first angel, and so Lucifer was a seraphim angel, because there are like 6 or 7 different kinds, and Lucifer was the first angel to ever basically question God.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened,
well, he was the first.
Yes,
Lucifer was the first
to question
Lucifer.
No, he was the first angel.
Or maybe he was, or he stepped up to God and said, "Why should you be the only highest?" And then there was the war in heaven, led by Michael.
Well, hold on. He questioned God about giving man absolute free will. He's like, you give all these people free will, but we have to follow your orders. And he also, I think he gave Lucifer somewhat free will, kind of free will. And Lucifer started questioning him about why we have to do this, but you give these fucking ants, the free reign to do whatever they want, destroy this world. He's like, well, that's because that's the way I want it, and you guys will listen to everything. He goes, I can't. I
disagree with that. I think that Lucifer fell, and then in the Garden of Eden took on the form of a serpent and offered Eve free will, and she took it.
So when you really look at it that way, I mean, that's essentially, it's because Lucifer takes on Satan, or like if you called it the Church of Lucifer, you would still have that, but it's that understanding or this thought of like, hey, we're actually kind of opposite of what, God's telling you, you're just going to obey because you're just going to obey. Yeah. And this group is saying, no, we side with this. But, the hard part that I struggle with is, just from my own spirituality beliefs and stuff like that, is like when they say, when he said, I don't even really think that there's like a Lucifer or whatever. And I'm like, well, if people are going to believe that there's a God, then in this story, then you have to believe that there is the opposite. And then when it comes to...
You can't have light without darkness.
Right. And then when it comes to this, Set, the spirit of Set visited me, or angels or whatever, from my belief is that is entirely possible. And people from other planes or other spirits, you live in a tiered thing. It's not just there's like a heaven and hell. There's more like there's tiers, and maybe Lucifer and Set and everything are up there with other higher powers or whatever, and they can speak through people and dictate. And I think that's where, personally, a lot of this creativity.
Except that Set and Lucifer take place in totally different canons, if you will.
Yeah,
Lucifer
is Greek mythology and Roman mythology.
So if you go back to Set, we're talking things that. So like, if you go back to Set, we're talking things that predate Christianity by 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years.
And there's characters that existed that are that Jesus is very similar to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you go back to the Sumerians, which are the first people that made beer before they could even communicate with, that's the first written language ever. Is the Sumerians.
Bottle of wine.
And that's what this is. The Necronomicon came from the Sumerian age, and that's their book of the dead. It is the story of so similar to the Bible. It's crazy.
Side question: how many times has someone seen that tattoo on your arm and assumed it was satanic or white power?
Not white power.
My tattoos have never come up. My tattoos have only been brought to my attention in a way that it was like perceived as a negative very few times.
Okay.
They're probably afraid to talk to you about it.
One time I worked as in apartment maintenance, and there was a high concentration of Catholic Latinos.
Oh, Dios mío.
And my boss came to me one day and said, could you wear long sleeves? Because I was like, why don't these people ever want to talk to me? They're always like walking the other way. And I was like, why do I have to wear long sleeves? And he's like,
the devil.
All of the Latino people that live here, which if you haven't noticed is quite a few, are there. So like you walk by and you're like, Domo Diablo.
You should have got some Jesus toast.
Yeah. But I turned that around because I was so fucking friendly to everybody that pretty soon they were like,
you're a snake in the grass.
I am. It's a cat snake.
Well, and I know that, but see, remember, that from my belief is that it doesn't even matter if they come from like different genders or whatever, because if you really want to look at the Bible overarching, and when you look at Satan or whatever, that was before man. So when you look at man had this, and then this person came, and you can have tons of gods that go up. You can have tons of people that go up to the higher levels.
I think Clay's right, because Lucifer did fall way before man was created.
And and then other people could have happened, other gods, other spiritual people. Somebody could die tomorrow and ascend and be up in the godly
What if
realm.
God created man out of spite to Satan? Like, oh, you wanted freedom? Well, here, I'm going to give these fuckers some
Here's
freedom.
the thing about the Bible. They only mention 3 angels in the Bible.
And there's so many more.
Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Did you know that?
There's so many more.
And then the other thing,
Gabriel, the
other thing is, if you actually research the demons, so if you fell from heaven as an angel and you became a demon of
Nicolas Cage,
like Nicolas Cage, right, or Christopher Walken,
yeah.
But
I'm an angel.
So in the sense of the fallen angels, Lucifer is by no means like the head nigger in charge whatsoever. He is like an outcast. Beelzebub is the all-ruling king of hell. And then when you read about these demons, they'll be like, these demons will control, like, they'll call it a legion of other demons sometimes, and that's like 100,000 other demons.
Yeah, it's like
under
a hive
that
mind. It's like we are legion.
And this is what's crazy is like the way that our army is set up, where they say like the colonel, the general, all that stuff. That is based on demonology in a way, because it is based on how the demons of hell are described and what realm they influence and in what way. I mean, there are demons that control so supposedly, if you read into it really far, us sitting here talking, just using speech is a form of
sin.
No, it's a form of something that's been taught to us by demons, just like agriculture, just like all these things.
Civilization.
You read about demons and you'll start to be like, you'll trip out because they're like, this demon taught us agriculture. This demon taught us this. This demon knows where all the treasures are ever, that
it's almost like the flip of like the Egyptian gods or Greek gods, where it's like, oh, this god of agriculture, and he came down and taught two regular guys, and then he fucked a chick and had a half god, and then took off.
If you follow it far enough, you'll find out that those demons were actually the gods from the religion before, and then so the new religion comes out, and then all the old gods then become demons. The bad guys, because that's not what they're doing.
It's an alternate timeline.
Yeah,
which I also believe in, that we have constant alternate timelines, because time is linear.
I'm not surprised if like once our lights go out, like we wake up and we're just part of a simulation for something else, or reset to something else, or
so in the end, for me, if you ask me, do I think that there was any of this shit happened where Michael led the revolt against the great dragon and he was cast out, and it took a third of the angels from heaven and they are fallen. I mean, if you were to ask me, do I believe in any of that, I'd say no.
Yeah, I think that someone ate the wrong leaf on a bush one night. Okay, then they saw a fucking lizard attack some fucking little dude running around, and then he just created this whole fucking story in his head.
Right.
I mean, possibly. I mean, I
well,
think
hold on a second. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So, and this will go until the next podcast, so just keep this one in mind. What if we were seeded here because the planet that we came from was like that, and those events actually happened on this other planet, and it could no longer sustain us, so they, like Prometheus, right? They sent we call it an angelic being, some being, and they seeded the planet, and then we are as we are.
Absolutely.
And
I could see that.
We're keeping evolution, we're keeping God out of this. It's just seeding the planet.
Somehow.
There was no, like, they didn't put like little tiny people in there and they grew up to be big people.
Or invasion of the bystanders.
There was
like a sea monkey.
There were people here. There's Cro-Magnon man. There's the other guys, Neanderthals, and they are evolutionary. But what I'm saying is that what if somebody came down and saw, and the Cro-Magnon man became the dominant species, and that's how it became seeded, and that's how we evolved to where we are now.
A hybrid race.
Yeah.
I absolutely go along with that, and that's what I was able to determine, at least for myself in the end, after hours and hours and days of thought going into this, is that I do believe that we are aliens. There are aliens. We are a hybrid race. We are spawned. We are put here. And for whatever reason, I mean, that's I guess the real question.
We were put here for what?
I don't know.
Sleeping
and now
on
I believe
couches?
that we're actually evolving into a state where we are intelligent enough that we're getting to the point where it's going to be a question of, do they let this continue because we have something to offer, or
do they pull the plug?
Because we're right at that. And I think it's happened before.
I think we got there and they pulled the plug.
I don't think we're the first round of the Matrix. So.
No, I agree with that.
Well, I mean, we've only been here for the blink of an eye, right? How long this planet's been here? So
I disagree with that too.
Like, what if?
No. It's verified. We've only been here. If you take a timeline of how long Earth has been around, we are the last
2 seconds
second or something like that.
But the Earth has been around for 43 billion years.
What I'm trying to say is, like,
Not that long.
What if, because if you've ever watched like those Discovery Channel things about societies that, like, what if people left, and then how many years it would take for buildings to fall apart and everything else, and then 10,000 years there's like no evidence people ever existed except for maybe microplastics.
No. There would be evidence, concrete and stuff like that, sunglass. Stuff.
They said that all that stuff eventually breaks down.
It does. I believe that too.
Everything, buildings collapse after buildings completely erode after like 300 years.
Hold on. The elephant's foot in Chernobyl, and Tokyo, and a couple of other places because half-life is
Fukushima?
fucking like 25,000 years or something.
So,
like that.
well, what I'm trying to get at is, like, what if there has been societies way before us? Because every once in a while, archaeologists discover another civilization. Oh, 12,000 is the oldest. Okay, but first it was like only 4,000. Now all of a sudden, they're finding shit that's plus 20,000 back.
Well, and I mean, and this is again another rabbit hole, if you will.
Yeah.
There's from the time that the Egyptians allegedly built the pyramids, but then you have, philosophers that were even older than that in different societies that were actually speaking about or wrote about the pyramids.
Yeah.
So how old really are the pyramids? They don't fucking know.
It's like the Irish before they created whiskey, right? It's
yeah.
Yeah.
highly technologically advanced, and then all of a sudden they created whiskey and everything went downhill.
Well, the Sphinx, when you have something that's like the Sphinx and they carbon dated it or whatever they did, and they estimated that it's this old, and then within the last year or two, maybe 10 years or so, they have redetermined that the Sphinx is far older than what was originally determined by not like 100 years, by like thousands of years. So if the Sphinx is 4,700 years old at that time when they initially did it, it's like double to triple that age.
Well, and they still don't understand. I mean, there's so much we don't know. They still don't really understand. Like at first they thought the pyramids were just, tombs, but that's not actually accurate either. Like, all these things about pyramids and the placements and Stonehenge and this placement and the fact that there's pyramids in areas that they haven't even really disclosed. In fact, the government's trying to
alignments and stuff like that.
Knock them down and everything. Like, okay, well, what did these peeps know? Like, how did we get a map of Antarctica when it wasn't like covered in snow? Like, that's not relatable as far as we know. We shouldn't have had, ways to map that or chart it back then before it was covered in complete glaciers and ice. But, all these little types of pieces, it's like, are we the first run? I don't know. Could everything have been lost? Probably. That's like,
I don't believe we're the first run. I think we are. I'm sorry. I think we're the first run. This 10,000 year, we'll call it the 10,000 year experiment.
To get to this technological advancement.
Right. And okay, I wanted to say something about this, the Sphinx. So the Sphinx supposedly opened in 2520 BC.
So 4,500 years ago.
So when I asked when I asked Google how old is the Sphinx, it says 4,500 years old. Okay. And there's this. It's older than 4,500 years old. That is a double negative. Sorry. But why is Google telling us it's 4,500 years old when its age is right now undetermined?
I just read 8,000 years old.
Yeah.
You read the same thing?
Yeah, double to triple.
Why are they still telling us that masks are going to prevent us from getting the virus? I don't know, Mike.
Oh, I don't even worry about that. The one thing that I found really interesting about the pyramids, I don't know how I have to line it up.
I already know where you're going with this.
The pyramids, the temples for Mazatlan, Mazteca, or whatever you want to call them, and I'm sorry, the Mayans, and all the other temples,
Nazca lines,
make a line that also corresponds to Orion's belt.
Absolutely.
Which is fucking really cool.
Yeah, there's like these holes that go into the they're like a sun what is a sunroof type?
Sure.
Yeah.
What the skylights like in a house.
Sunroof.
There's these long tunnels that go through the pyramid into the chambers, and they perfectly line up with certain star formations.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that right there tells me that we are not
the first run.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like the 10,000 year run, we're the first run.
There's similarities in that kind of building, the astrological building.
We're not. Our run isn't over yet.
In South America, with like Mayans or Aztecs.
No, it's all the same, and they have, and even not even ones in Mexico, but there's ones in other European countries that they've actually even bulldozed to make freeways. Yeah. That they've tried to cover. They just let shit grow over it. But if you actually look up, which I think is really funny, if you look up the pattern of the pyramids of Egypt, and even I want to see the ones in Mexico, and the design of a computer board. Look it up. And pyramids.
Jill, let me see your glass right now.
So this is not a map of Zelda.
Peer pressure, man. Peer pressure.
Just FYI.
Oh, like CPU.
I mean,
it's fucking Skynet.
Anytime that you look at, people are going to be influenced by things that they see, like cool patterns and whatnot, and these little Easter eggs, like on the Macintosh. On the original Macintosh motherboard, there was a guy in a raincoat flashing people. So you
think maybe they took the pattern and made
absolutely.
the computer motherboard
yeah,
of that?
And they did it on purpose. Okay. Not in every case, but like in this case right here that we're looking at, the Mayan pyramids complex of, I can never say that, Teotihuacan in Mexico, and a computer motherboard. Like, they just took some fucking random computer motherboard that somebody made and then lined it up.
They deleted some things out of the picture too, probably.
Yeah, you can see where they photoshopped all that shit around it. So, but does that exist? Absolutely, it does exist, because you can get satellite images, or you can get, somebody saw something somewhere, like the footprints or whatever you want to call them in Peru or wherever.
Oh, you mean the big drawings?
Yeah, the huge.
Oh yeah. I know, like the crop circle type thing.
Yeah. The god prints or whatever they're calling them.
Yeah, well, there's one. There's the giant ant, and then yeah,
and they've seen those, and they incorporate that stuff because they think it's cool, or it's been imprinted in our heads, for the longest time, as the 10,000 year, 20,000 year experiment, or whatever you want to call it, and go from there. And we seem to be repeating all these steps anyways. I mean, if you look at architecture and the way things are built, decks, things like that, all this stuff is all related. We build shit to mimic our ancestors. So, and then
just like the evolution of music.
Yeah, and then when you have something new and revolutionary, well, where the fuck did that come from? Beethoven or Hendrix or fucking the 9 Inch Nails, things like that.
Trent Reznor.
I'm avoiding some of the stuff. Some of that music is not.
That's an interesting question.
What
would someone like Beethoven or Mozart have done if music didn't exist at that time? What other thing would they go into?
They've always been driven by music.
These type of people
That's what it is.
What I'm saying is, because of the way their minds go, they're creative. So they would. If music didn't exist, what direction do you think they could take something in?
They would have created music,
because if they hear music,
kill people.
Yeah. It's like when you hear something and you're like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. Or you see something and you're like, that is exactly what I want to do.
Because they would start doing this.
All those people that you talk about are channeling that information.
Yeah.
They're channeling that like they are plugged into something, whether they want to be or not, and they are the instrument.
Syd Barrett of Pink Floyd is one of the most influential musicians on the planet.
He's a fucking nut job too.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But you give him an instrument and he can play anything at any time. It's just natural.
Now, one more thing before we get off
Some
the Bible.
Fucking work.
There's a
on
book
that
that's omitted from the Bible, and it's called the Book of Enoch.
There's a ton of books that have been omitted.
And that
from the Bible.
book right there starts to talk about the pyramids and how they align to pyramids and other places in the, not just our solar system, but all over the place. And
so they're not a part of King James's version.
No, it goes not whatsoever. The Book of Enoch is easily as big as a normal King James version Bible.
How does the Catholic Church feel about that? The Book of Enoch.
You got to go down there and talk to the right guy and let him let you down into the catacombs underneath, and he'll let you through his secret library.
Or you can just get it from Amazon.
Or you can just get it from Amazon. Or you can just get it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I don't care who you know. I don't think they're gonna let you into the secret library at the Vatican.
No.
You can go into the secret library of the Vatican. We disproved that. Mm-hmm. They don't allow you into the black library, which is the forbidden library.
What about the platinum library?
That too.
The VIP.
The VIP lounge?
Well, no, it's not. The platinum library is okay, but it's not as elite as the black library.
I want to upgrade.
It's like a black.
I don't think that any of that should be the black area. Like, why can't we see that stuff?
You know why? Because you get in there and
because
you're
it's
like,
part of control.
They're like, welcome to the black area.
You got to keep.
Can I get you a glass of Pinot Noir? And you're like, fuck no.
They're like, welcome to the black library.
It's from Lodi, the central coast of Western California, out next to the Pacific Ocean. You're like, no.
You know what?
Fuck no.
You can't give people too much information.
Just give me a Dr. Pepper.
That differs from what they're saying. Because if it differs too much from what they're saying, people start to question too much, and then they lose power.
Well, they lose money.
That's exactly right. But here's the other thing. If it weren't for religion, according to scientists, we are 2,500 years behind the times.
Technologically.
We're being held. We should literally be having flying cars.
It's the Jim Jeffries thing when he talks about the train. of like society on a train, and how the engineers are at the front, but the religious fucks are in the back holding everything up because of their bullshit, and they're slowing the train down. So it's like you got to take that fucking caboose and cut it off.
Why,
So that,
why would a religion block a flying car?
That's not the appropriate question.
because God
They
didn't
don't give a
intend
shit
us to
about
fly.
They don't give a shit about flying cars. They block everything scientific because they don't want to buy into the fact that the sun revolves around the earth.
Because science doesn't
Or
prove
the
God.
earth revolves around the sun.
Which is it?
Science still has not yet proven that there is God. I'll say that yet.
It's heretical. It has been heretical for thousands of years, if you
So they're
come
just
up
trying
with
to be dicks about it?
yeah, so you come up with a new look. Polio would have been found as a polio. The polio vaccination would have happened according to scientists by the year 1700.
If
That's
it wasn't
how
for
far.
religious people.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Catholic Church, actually.
And why did the Catholic Church not want it?
The Catholic Church doesn't believe in science. They've never believed in science.
It
sounded condescending.
I'll go the
I
ending of
apologize.
Men in
It's not
Black
supposed to
route.
sound condescending.
Okay,
Which one?
where the whole universe is just inside of a marble and an alien's playing with it in a bag of marbles. What if our universe is just God and we're just the little cells of God?
Yeah.
Our
that could
entire
be.
universe.
Before.
But going back to it, so
Same thing with Rick and
Galileo,
Morty.
So, like, if you pan back far enough, it'd actually be whatever God is.
Well, it's like Rick and Morty when he gets in, like, he has his time machine thing, and then, like, inside the engine is a whole nother world that he has powering his engine. And then inside of that universe, the guy has another universe that's powering their universe.
right?
Yeah, same thing.
But going back to the science thing, Galileo,
I think we're in
when
God's
he
nutsack
figured out that
asshole
the
right now.
Earth revolves around the sun, was told by the church, if you let this information out, you are a dead man. You better fucking toe the company line, or no more for you. And I think it was Galileo. I may be mistaken, but there are other scientists like Da Vinci and stuff
Socrates.
No, it was Galileo.
No, not Socrates.
He was a philosopher.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the Church of
He was
the Catholic
Greek.
Church.
Yeah, I'm just talking about him speaking up about certain things that were.
It was Galileo.
Yeah, but they had free thinking. They like, oh hey, look, fucking here's math. You know,
Right.
That's cool. And then some asshole said, you know what would be really cool is to control the masses, and that's
Does math lead to God?
and the rise of the singular God came from Rome. So there's a huge book on it. I wanted to buy it. I keep forgetting to, but that whole history of why we are so technologically retarded is because of the Catholic Church. They didn't want it until it was too late to stem the flow of information.
Smart people, dude. Smart people don't let power stay in power for very long. So if too many people are smart, it's just like having smart slaves. If the slaves can learn how to read, they can learn how to revolt.
And then the church decided that was the proper train to get on, but they could still stem the flow of information by hiding texts, by saying this is forbidden information, blah blah blah. That's why they burned the Library of Alexandria. There's a history of the Huns did it or whatever else. Knowledge is power.
The Huns would have
guarantee you
taken
that the people that were protecting the Library of Alexandria burned that fucking thing to the ground so that nobody else could get that information.
That's why I think our internet is clogged with truth and misinformation at the same time to confuse some lesser-minded people so that they don't keep questioning the way things are. They're just like, okay, yeah, I guess that's the truth.
Well, and it's
That's
easier.
Joe going out on a limb.
It is. And it's easier. It's easier
Am I
not to
lying?
question.
Is the truth not constantly fucking flooded with misinformation?
It absolutely is.
All the time. Look at how we talk about COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, would my life be easier if I just didn't question it and I
You
just
missed
went
that
ahead
whole
and totaled
conversation last
everything?
week.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I
yeah.
think it would. It would absolutely be. I would have already had my vaccination. I would have not had to worry about anything. I would have
Please
just,
don't take the easy way.
I wouldn't have
that would've been great.
psoriasis, things like that. Cars wouldn't have to rely on fossil fuels.
Or
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Coffee,
mean-
Mr. Fusion.
Yeah, Mr. Fusion.
Hey,
I'd have
whatever's
my-
going on
I'd
at
have my-
CERN Institute, you can't fuck with those guys.
Miniature
I
black
have my
holes.
my
That fucking
wiretap.
Hadron Collider
Have
scares
you
the
heard-
shit out of me.
Hey, Clay, have you heard of a guy named Michio Kaku?
What?
What's my play on this?
How many people have met your Kaku?
At least 10.
Michio Kaku.
Oh, that guy. He's like the charismatic scientist, like DeGrasse.
This guy has
Is he like a
predicted a ton of
Japanese-
stuff,
is he like-
including the earthquake in Tokyo and a couple of others with the typhoons and shit like that.
Okay.
I think he's shown up on Ancient Aliens before.
He is amazing. He looks fucking crazy, but when you listen to him, like...
So he's not like a Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, yes.
Beethoven.
Yes, he is.
Well, Bill Nye the Science Guy isn't really a science guy. So
he's got... No, I looked it up.
No,
He's
this
got doctorates and stuff in science. He does...
This guy is Bill Nye the Science Guy plus Einstein plus Oppenheimer.
Okay.
So he's like 4 levels of fucking smart. Beyond... He's like when Clay said channeling, that's this guy. If you, Clay, I suggest if you want to get into some of the shit that we've been talking about tonight.
You want to Michio Kaku?
Holy shit, that guy. You'll love his stuff.
All right, I'll take a look at him.
Michio Kaku.
Remind me in a text or something.
Yeah, Michio Kaku. He was born in San Jose.
Kaku.
And here's the thing about, so I read another article one morning, and it was about how math is changing, and it's because it's
math
does change because we learn new information. And they started getting into Einstein, and one guy who was super smart, and where you can go and you can make your own comment. And he said, "I'm this guy," and his text was this long. His comment was this long.
Fucking block.
And then another guy, and he got in there, and they start talking about the theory of relativity and all that stuff, and how it can be. Anyway, I can't even go into like the verbiage they're using. And then the next guy has something to say, and that like boiled my brain. And then they all start arguing. So it's like super smart people arguing, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? But they're having an argument, and it all comes down to, as smart as they all are, they all have a different idea of what part of it is right or wrong. So who's actually right? And the whole article says we don't know to begin with, but these fuckers are down there just fucking dragging each other around in a wrestling match about this or that, and they're all super smart. I mean, I can't even understand half the shit they're talking about.
I was waiting for you to say, like, they had this guy and he had this really big opinion, and this guy had a really great, thought out, big word opinion, and the next guy said, well, you guys can suck my cock. Like,
well, they do get all kind of like, at one point, one guy's all, fuck you, and it gets all like kind of just like...
That's how Ron White was
like,
an argument.
It gets all like, but now they're standing on the playground, you know what I mean? And I was like, wow. And then I was late for work because I just was sitting on the toilet reading this shit.
Like, sorry, I was reading about relativity and like, what? Okay, sure you were.
Michio Kaku built a atom smasher for his science project in junior high school.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
That's that guy. That's his level of fucking.
Michio Kaku.
Anyways, I don't know where I was going with this. It doesn't really fucking matter. All I know is that I can't believe in a God when we continually evolve. Look, we got so bored that we created a fucking square screen, like a window, so that we could flash images on it. And then we took those flashes of images and then we put them into a 24 frame per second visual. And before that, we took these signals where it was just like Morse code, and then turn that into being able to talk into a fucking piece of electronics, like the microphones that we're talking into right now, so that people can understand the words that are coming out of this fucking enormous skull. And I can transmit it everywhere, around the world, in seconds.
Ego.
That right there tells me that there's a higher power, but it's not like God. There is a fucking other. We are part of another species, another planet, another thing, And then, in school we're taught, there's only 9 planets in the solar system.
Yeah.
No.
Our solar system.
No, there's like 3,600 planets in our solar system or more.
And how many other solar systems?
Thousands.
Oh,
and
so big.
And they can literally see solar systems being born with the one of the telescopes that they have, and they can see to the beginning of time from the initial Big Bang,
because they can see the oldest star
100 billion years ago. They can literally see the Big Bang happening.
So half the stars in the sky that we see at night aren't even stars anymore. They've already supernovaed, but it takes so long for their light signature to get here that you think you're still looking at a star that's out there, but you're looking at something that may have supernovaed and exploded millions of years ago, but it took that line for
its electromagnetic waves could be coming on their way right now to destroy this planet.
Or that light that we're seeing is coming from another star that's located in another fucking universe that's warped through a wormhole. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Or and then there's rumors that if you go into there's a black hole in the Milky Way universe, by the way, in the galaxy. Like our next door neighbor is a black hole. And there's rumors that if you hit that black hole, you go into a parallel universe.
They're saying that
That's
what
crazy.
happened at CERN Institute may have put us in a parallel universe.
Maybe.
We may have to explore that.
I disagree with it, but I can't,
Dude, our satellites, the Voyagers, their probes, they just made it into interstellar space.
Have you seen the picture of Saturn from one of our fucking things? It flew under the ring.
Fucking scary.
It
That's a
looks
star
like a
ruled under.
cartoon.
Oh,
It's
wrong
scary looking. It's creepy because
That's a star ruled
think of
under
it as
Saturn.
there being no sound.
Hey, I saw
looking at
those
something like
fucking
that.
Elon Musk satellites go over the top of my buddy's house one night, and we were like, "Is this it?
This is where it all ends.
And then we looked it up, and we're like, "Oh, it's Elon Musk. We're fine. We think we're fine."
we think for now. We're fine for now.
Well, they say, okay, hold on, where is it?
And they also said the red spot is going away, but yet it gets bigger again.
Whatever.
Saturn is the star ruled under.
So there's a picture of, and I just saw this like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, one that's not enhanced. Some have like color enhancement and stuff.
I still don't necessarily even believe that we landed on the moon. So
It's just funny. You land on the moon, you're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Oh, we'll just grab a couple rocks and we'll do a feather test, and then okay, we gotta go back.
Oh, it was on IFL. That's what it was.
I just want to know how
There's
we
no
landed on
buffet?
the moon.
Where's the buffet?
I just want to know how we landed on the moon before, and then all of a sudden nobody remembered how to do it.
Because we threw so much money at it beating the Russians that when there's no expense spared, that's what's possible of happening. But after that, once the Cold War happened, they started crunching down on shit. And then they're like, okay, well, now we already beat the Russians to the moon, so now we'll focus on other things like Vietnam and heroin and stuff.
But nobody even wrote it down.
Yeah, they did. There's gigantic books.
They did. They just didn't want to spend the money.
There's
again.
a book this big of programming instructions.
We beat Russia to the moon. That was it. That's why it didn't matter anymore. It was all just ego and alpha male bullshit. Alpha shit.
My moon dick's bigger than yours?
Yeah, pretty much. Our country is better than yours. That's all it was. Just like we had the nuke first, and
Oh, man.
and we have democracy.
15% of Americans believe the U.S. is controlled by Satanic
Here it is, right here.
forces.
Look at this fucking picture. This is from Cassini, right under the rings and right above the surface. And look at the clouds, right
It's
to
a
the
big
top.
ball of gas.
And
That's
it's
Saturn.
so dense.
That is such a great
Sounds
picture.
like me after Sizzler.
Yeah, that's
It's
not
it's
dense.
fascinating and terrifying at the same time.
It's not dense. It's gas.
Look at this.
Floating water.
that is awesome. Look, there's an alien. How great are these pictures?
They're probably fake.
Yeah, they're
Well,
fake.
I think they're color enhanced.
But to disprove the whole moon thing, you would have to disprove the fact that there is an actual flag on the moon, which we have shot a laser at, and it bounced back with there's objects.
And you can
on
see
the moon.
if you have a good enough telescope, you can actually see the footprints and the tread marks from the rover.
Yeah.
You know how far away the moon is?
250,000 miles away or something like that.
How did they call from the moon?
It's 14 million miles.
They have
The moon is not.
radio.
Mars is
From the
53
moon.
million miles away.
No, I think
Radio-
the
radio
moon is 14
transmits-
million miles.
No, the moon is the only dude. The moon is not even a million
How
miles
far?
away.
How many miles is the moon? Look it up.
250 it's like-
14
it's like-
260,000 miles.
214, 250. Yeah.
How long?
like-
how
that's
far?
like
do-
a road
what do you
trip.
think it
I
is?
want to say 14 million miles.
No, it's not 14 million miles.
That's how far I walked today.
Mars is like 30 to 50 million miles away.
239,000
See, look at it.
fucking
I
miles.
fucking
That's
said
what I just
240.
said.
The sun is 92 million.
That's
miles.
what I
93.
said. Fuck. I said the
Depending
fucking
on where we're
sun
at.
and the moon added up, and then the square root of Mars is 14 million miles.
Okay.
God,
Absolutely.
I believe
fucking
it.
pay attention.
All right.
And
Alrighty.
it's also the moon is 4.53
So they
billion
say the
years
moon
old.
used to be part
I
of
think
Earth.
that's how far I drive
So they
to
say.
work every day.
They say the moon might
keep
be the
saying-
crust of the Earth blown off by
Well,
Mars.
when the universe was in upheaval, or the solar system was in like upheaval from forming, that things were just slamming into each other all over the place.
Right.
Because we had the remnants of it in the Kuiper Belt and all that, or the asteroid belt and all that stuff like that. But
The
it's
Polaris belt.
something really big hit Earth when it was still liquidy,
Yeah.
magma,
Liquid hot magma.
and then it broke a big giant chunk off, which became the moon. And the moon used to be a lot closer too. So like 65.
So was it not round at some point?
It had to form because it was hot. So it finally formed in. That's how it's round, is because you can't have something be round unless it's liquid first. And then because of magnetic pulling and all that shit,
and spinning,
and gravity and spinning, and then it becomes round.
It was way closer.
Well, but the moon doesn't really spin; it just kind of sits in place.
Yeah, because there's moons and asteroids that are not round at all because they were never hot enough to be molded into a circle.
Like that flying turd that flew by,
remember in Bruce
Earth.
Almighty?
The one from
I was called the Earth, the
pulls
United
the moon
States.
Closer.
The whale probe.
And everybody
from
has
Star Trek.
herpes, and the tide goes out too far. Then he has a McLaren in the morning.
That's
exactly.
Papa Umau.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
Are we good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know if we're good.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Documentary. Good night.
Good night.
Coke better.
Fucking ears are sweating like crazy.